good morning, and welcome back to another episode of the Talk to Tanner Morning Show, where we go over tips, tricks, ideas, and exercises to help make you the absolute best entrepreneur you can be, not only for yourself, but for the people you love and care about most. You become better for not only you, but the people you love and care about most. You gotta be a little uncomfortable and take that leap of faith. You're in control of the process. I'm here with you. If we don't continue to grow, if we don't continue to move on, we will be sad and upset. This morning, I thought it would be fun to crunch a few numbers. To look at how long we have to live. How long do we actually have to live? What's the importance of maybe looking at how long down the road? I remember having a conversation with my sister maybe a month or so ago. She was talking about this guy who completely planned out his life in years and years ahead, and looks at how many weeks and how many days that he actually still has to live. And I want to kind of put the math to the test, get an understanding, and then also maybe ask you to maybe look at how long you have to live. And maybe this will affect our decision making. Maybe this will affect our perspective on what's really in front of us. Maybe this will challenge a few of our ideas, planning. It seems like it's like looking at our lives and then trying to look at this balance of how I view as enjoying the present as much as possible, planning, and then letting go of the future, because there's just so little that we can actually control going into the future. And then also learning from the past. So if we had ourselves kind of imagining this little bit of a timeline. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in with us this morning. Imagining this kind of timeline we have here in the center, we have presence and being present to the moment. Maybe that's our challenge today. Maybe that's what we're starting off with, something small. It's like, how can I be a little more present when I'm interacting with people, when I'm listening to people, when I'm going about what it is I'm doing, whether it's something as small as doing the dishes, or maybe it's something big, you have to give a presentation, you have to take a test, you have to go to a new job for the first time, engaging in the moment. And then also taking the time, maybe in the evenings, we're planning for the future, or maybe we're reflecting a little bit on the past, this three-headed beast in what we call life. Let's go ahead and do the math on, say, how long I plan to live, and what does that actually look like? How long would that actually be? So let's go ahead and get a calculator out. All right, so let's go ahead and do the math. Let's think about how much longer do we possibly have to live. I apologize for this calculator being absolutely tiny. I thought I could zoom in on that. Good morning. Good morning. We're going to run some numbers on how long we have to live. So I plan on living to 120. 120, my God, Tanner, you're out of your mind. No way you're living to 120. That's what I remember saying this when I was working at university in graduate school. And my teachers were like, dude, yeah, right. You're crazy. You're not going to live to 120. Good luck. Good luck, they said. Not a chance. And I'm thinking in my head, really? I'm blown away that they were that surprised by that line of thinking of I'm going to live to 120, when it's very evident that technology, medical advancements. I think Mel Gibson's dad, he couldn't even walk. He was in a wheelchair, and he got enough stem cells, and he ran, I think, a 10K race. So, or something along the lines of that. You'll have to fact check me on that. I remember him coming on to Rogan's podcast and talking about it, but my point is that medical technologies and technologies in general and all this crazy advancement, and I'd like to think I'm a healthy guy. So I'm planning on 120. So just to do some rougher numbers, I'm 28 years old, but we'll kind of round down. So that would give me 90 years. That would give me 90 years left on this planet. Holy smokes, 90. And then times 365 days in a year. That gives me 32,850 days. 32,850 days to live. Now, Is this number? This number is actually bigger than what I thought it'd be. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to do the numbers fresh when I came out of the show to be like more naturally surprised when I'm talking about it. But so 32, so like 33,000 days realistically, because I am still 28 and I still got a year and a half on that go around. So maybe like 33,000 days or so I have to live. Incredible. Now, I have a few mixed emotions about this because it's like whenever I just went on vacation in Colorado and I blinked and it went by so fast. It went by so fast. And then I come back here and then things slow down a lot more when I'm at home. It feels like compared to when I'm doing outdoor adventure. And it was making me kind of pause and reflect. It's like, okay, let's do the math on how long I've actually lived. So say 28 times 365. We've lived 10,000 days. We've already lived 10,000 days. So my life expectancy is around 40,000 days or so to live a long, healthy life. I'm about a quarter of the way there. That makes sense. I'm almost 30. My goal is to live to 120, 25% of the way there. I think these are good numbers to run for both reflection and planning in the future. So maybe you're doing the math on how long have you actually lived? What have you learned from it? So when it comes to the past, there's two things. Maybe I should help preface with this. There's the two top things that cause more suffering than anything when it comes to reflection. When it comes to the two top things for suffering, right? Apologize. Two top things for suffering, it's regrets of the past and worrying about the future. So if you can do yourself any type of favor, it would be to recognize these are the two biggest forms of suffering: regrets about the past and suffering from worrying about the future. Two biggest forms of suffering that humans go through. If we can recognize this, because it's not like I can't. So the goal is to live as in the moment as much as possible, right? But there's certain things where you just have to plan for the future. If you want to plan for your retirement, if you want to plan for vacations, if you want to just have a better roadmap so you actually know where you're going. It's wild to me because when I first started getting into like meditation and living in the present moments, I never did it. I was just always living in the future. I was always living in the past, and it almost felt like I was just missing out on my life. And then I went really hard on just living in the present moment. And I'm starting to see, I think forcing yourself to live as much in the present moment will start to help you realize and make a healthier relationship with the future and the past. Because I still enjoy thinking about memories of the past. I still enjoy thinking about my trip of Colorado, looking at old photos, looking at photos of past trips with my friends. I enjoy that. And I'm trying to melt and dissolve the chaos of getting stuck too much in the past of, oh man, the past was so much better. Or getting stuck in the thought of being excited about my future, where the show's going, where my coaching company's going, where our real estate investments are going, where my relationships with my family's going, where our future plans to just move and travel and do all that stuff, the relationship specifically with my amazing girlfriend, all that wonderful stuff. And focusing on the good sides of it. I don't think it takes a lot of discipline and training, I believe, to appropriately plan and not suffer in the future or in the past. And how is a way that we could go about this? It's doing things like planning. Like you run the numbers on how long my life is, and then we set goals. Maybe after 1,000 days, I'd like to lose 15 pounds. I'd like to be 3% body fat, 3% less body fat. I would like to have left the country and gone on a traveling trip. Maybe you can use these numbers. Maybe I switched back over here. Maybe you can use these numbers to have a parameter or a rough timeline of when you want to accomplish something, when you want to do something, how you want to go about your life, right? And that's where I'm finding comfort in. It's like, oh crap, we just did the math. It's like, I plan on living for another 90 years, baby. So I still got over 30,000 days to go. And that's beautiful. And that's exciting to me. It's like, I have so many opportunities. That's a lot of shows, right? That's a lot of morning shows. So hopefully you guys get used to seeing me and hearing me talk all the time. We'll be hanging around. It has me excited of how much we still really have to do, and that it's okay that I'm learning and maybe I'm struggling with a few things today. It's like, I'm going to imagine how good of a coach I'm going to be in 10,000 days. If I keep doing the morning show, if I keep having sessions, if I keep meeting new people, if I keep refining my process, how good of a coach am I going to be in, say, 10,000 days? And maybe looking at it that viewpoint of what's going on right here, right now in the present moment is actually absolutely beautiful. I'm excited. I'm enjoying it. Appropriately planning for the future, and then having some forgiveness, having some compassion for who I was in the past. Am I embarrassed of who I was 2 years ago? Well, you bet your ass, right? I was doing things wrong all the time, but that's okay. And I'm really starting to forgive myself on things I've done in the past, and really seeing that it's like, oh, wow, that mistake actually led, my voice just cracked. Apologies. Good morning. Good morning. That mistake actually led to all of the opportunities that I have today, because everything that I do today will dictate what goes on in the future. And if I can grow a healthier relationship, so this is the math of how many days I have to live. Before I exit out of this, I should probably divide it by like how many weeks. So I go over 630 weeks, like 630 weeks to go. And maybe I'm ramping on a calendar, doing some numbers like that. That's enough numbers for right now. Let's go ahead and remove this. So I'm looking at what I can do, strengthening the relationship that I have going forward with where I want to go. And maybe I'm just limiting my planning to once a week, trying to reduce how often. I think where I was getting tripped up, and maybe you can say the same, where I was actually suffering was I kept thinking about the future and how I didn't have a very particular thing. I didn't have enough rental properties. I didn't have enough coaching clients. I haven't traveled enough. I didn't have enough money. Whatever it is, a bunch of external crap that actually doesn't matter. I was constantly worried about that. And I was thinking about that. And I was living in that space, and that was causing me suffering. But I wasn't actually planning. Or I wasn't taking action to do it. And I think when we're not planning appropriately, and then we're setting aside, that's when we're going to cause that suffering. When we're caught in that space, when we're caught in the gap of where we want to be in the future and where we are today, when we're focused on this gap section, this is a big ball of suffering right here, in between here, versus right here in the present moment. This is where we're going to have peace. This is where we're going to surrender to the moment. This is where we're going to be able to breathe a little bit, relax, and feel better about what's really going on. And having that healthy relationship of the past, it's like, yeah, was I an all-star student when I was a kid? No. Did I do gymnastics like I wanted to, like I would have loved to have done now? No. There's a few things that I didn't do that I wish I would have done, of course, but at the same time, there's so many things that I did do right. I had great parent. Shout out to my mom, who's taking care of us through everything. I have siblings who do anything in their power for me all the time, having great trips and all this. So when I really look at the past, it's like, wow, when I focus on the right things, it's true. I'm truly blessed. And maybe you did suffer a lot extra in the past. I would argue that a lot of your pain and your suffering is actually appreciated, because now look at how far you've come. When you have suffered deeply in the past, I will make the argument, and I'm open to anyone coming on the show and like talking to me about this, that there is a huge list of good things that come from it. Whether, you've had some up and downs, you've had disagreements with people, people didn't believe in you, and this and that. The things that you've overcome are your most cherished moments. That's what makes the present moment so amazing, because it's created who you are today. So maybe we can develop a stronger relationship with the past and see that, wow, look at what this has done for me and created in this present moment. Look at what opportunities this is going to create. Everyone loves a story of the underdog, of overcoming the hardships, creating in a beautiful moment, and then going off and doing more things that are helping a ton of people. I would argue you wouldn't even want it easy even if you could have it. I would make that argument all day long. I'd rather struggle, figure it out, overcome, create something beyond myself, help a bunch of people, than just have rainbow and sunshine all the way through. But hopefully these days can show you. We did the math. I still got like 30,000 days to live. How many days do you have to live? And understanding that there's so little that we can control about the future. So enjoying the present moment is very, very important, because it's all you really ever will have. You'll never have the future. It'll always be just an arm length's reach away, right? The next minute, the next hour, the next day, the next week, it'll always be out of reach. But what we do have access to is making the present moment the best it can be, because we understand when we do that, we're going to create so many more opportunities that are in alignment with what it is we really want to do in this lifetime. And to be frank, you just have no idea if you're going to be alive tomorrow. You have no idea if you're going to be alive in a week. You have no idea if you're going to be alive a month from now. So surrendering to the fact that there's so little that you can control. I used to drive myself absolutely nuts because this didn't go perfectly planned, that didn't go perfectly planned. I don't have enough of this. I don't have enough of that. And it's like, dang, I just spent like an hour worrying and now I feel like shit. That didn't do me any good. When in reality, who knows if I'll even be alive in a month from now, in a year from now. People get hit by cars, people fall off cliffs, people do all these crazy things, whether it's cancer or like horrible diseases. There's so little that we can really control. And life is so fragile when you really think about it. So it's like, why the hell would I waste any time on the negatives of the future or the negatives of the past when I know I have access to, with the right framing and the right perspective, I have the right access to the amazing, beautiful past of the things I've overcome, the nostalgic memories, and I use that as learning. And then the amazing parts of that, I'm excited for the future. I can genuinely say I have a good idea of what I want to do with my life. I've taken a lot of time to figure that out. If you need help figuring that out, please contact me. That's a big part of what we do for coaching, is nailing down what you want to do, or else at least getting closer, because I'm sure 10 years from now, I'm going to think something different, have different goals and all that. Only thing constant is change, right? So only thing constant is change. And if we can acknowledge this and we can create a healthy relationship and know that life is very fragile and that is precious, and that the human experience is fucking awesome, and that what I have right here, there's so many people in the past with all they wanted was to be alive again, and we have it in our possession, in our control, because this is ultimately what people want. The human experience, we want as fulfilling as possible, right? So quick little recap. We went over here, we did the math. I have 32,000 days to live, hopefully. I'm going to try and make the most of them, but the more important number that we have going on is 1. I'm going to focus on today. I'm going to make the most of today. I hope you make the most of today. Use these numbers, play around these numbers. How long do you have to live? What do you want to do before you die? What are some markers, some goals that we can set to have a more strategic, a more laid out future, and try to enjoy it as much as possible? Thanks for checking out our content. If you want to learn more about investing in yourselves and working with me and our company personally, we offer a 6-week Total Life Mastery Bootcamp where we go over the most important topics to make sure that our life has the foundation we need to catapult us forward, to take the right and proper actions, to become happier and more productive, guaranteed, or our money back.